The hype building up to the release of The Godfather, bringing together an all-star cast and adapting the hot-selling book of the same name by Mario Puzo, certainly delivered when it hit the theaters. The film would change the Hollywood landscape, offering a resurgence in interest and ushering in an age that allowed more experimental and offbeat cinema to enter the box office. The marketing was notably praised, with the star-studded cast gaining global interest leading up to its release. The Godfather and its subsequent sequels would go on to be a career-defining performance for many of its cast members. However, it is an uncredited actor in the first film that ended up making more than almost anyone else involved in the project. Actor Joe Spinell may not be a household name, but his role as Wilchichi ended up paying out big time. Here is how a bit actor made more money than most actors in The Godfather. Who was Joe Spinell? With a unique look and strong, intimidating persona, many might see a familiar face in Joe Spinell when he is on the screen but not be too certain where they have seen him. Yes, Spinell appeared in timeless and iconic films such as Taxi Driver, Rocky, and The Godfather. Still, the underrated talent held bit parts and never really made it into the mainstream. For fans of horror, Spinell was a bit of an unsung hero, with his role in Maniac remaining as one of the most beloved 80s slasher villains of the genre. The film is a testament to the ability of Spinell to embrace something scary, primordial even, from within to craft an unforgettable killer, a role which Elijah Wood would portray in the 2012 remake. Born on October 28, 1936, in Manhattan, New York City, Joe Spinell was a known hustler with a love for the arts, honing his craft in off-Broadway and performing with a troupe known as Theater of the Forgotten, which would do odd events like putting on performances for inmates. Barely scraping by as an actor, he would take on a myriad of odd jobs, immersing himself in New York culture with jobs integrated into the heart of the city like a taxi driver, post office clerk, and liquor store clerk. His first major break would come from being cast in a bit part in The Godfather, his first role that would see him become one of the highest-paid actors in the production. How Joe Spinell became one of the highest-paid actors on The Godfather. Joe Spinell was cast as Wilchichi in The Godfather, an uncredited role in the first film and a minor credit in the sequel, Godfather Part 2. During his time on the set of The Godfather, he befriended director Francis Ford Coppola. He came to the set every day, resulting in him being hired as a day player over 6 months of shooting while the other actors were paid the scheduled ad-SAG minimum. The only actor who got paid more than him was Marlon Brando, who received $250,000 upfront along with a percentage of gross ticket sales, ultimately netting Brando around $2 million total. This tidbit was covered in the documentary The Joe Spinell Story, in which the director of Maniac, William Lustig, related the lead-up to asking Spinell about his curious financial situation tied to the iconic film. Joe did not have a bank account because him and the IRS did not see eye to eye about finances. Up until the day he died, Joe would get these residual checks from his first movie role in The Godfather. During the mid-1970s, he would show up at my office downtown with these checks asking, "Bill, do you think when you have time, could you go down to your bank and cash this $16,000 check for me?" Every month I would see this huge residual checks he was getting from The Godfather. Finally one day I asked him, "How did you get this? How come you're getting all this money?" While the exact amount Spinell made from his uncredited role in The Godfather is unknown, if William Lustig's recollections of the actor are to be believed, it was implied that Joe Spinell was making money from The Godfather up to his death in 1989. With over a decade of checks coming in the mail for a considerable amount, it is feasible that Joe Spinell would have made more than most of the other actors, with Al Pacino, for example, being paid $35,000 for his role in the first film. While Joe Spinell would return to The Godfather Part 2 as Wilchichi, with the franchise established at that point, he was no longer receiving nearly the same paid amount as other actors, with Al Pacino reportedly making around $500,000 for reprising his role. Joe Spinell may have had a larger legacy as an actor, with The Godfather Part 3 looking to expand his character and give him a prominent role in the movie. However, after the actor's untimely death, he was written out of the script and replaced by the character Joey Zaza, played by actor Joe Mantegna. It is interesting to think about what could have been, but whether it would have been the actor's big break or if he would have even made it to the screen with his failing health is unknown. Joe Spinell was a man who lived a hard life suited to his on-screen presence, having gone through 2 marriages and known for his volatile relationship with a returning addiction to both drugs and alcohol. Moreover, the actor was reported to suffer from bouts of depression, which was likely tied to his substance abuse issues. The death of his mother, who he was very close with, added to all the actor's issues, and he became dangerously unhealthy, to his detriment, despite his friends' attempts to help. Joe Spinell died in his apartment in Queens, New York, on January 13, 1989, after cutting himself badly while slipping in the shower. The actor laid down instead of seeking help and bled out due to his hemophilia. Joe Spinell was an immensely underrated talent. Though his biggest roles were in small parts and often forgotten, across his 60-plus films, he worked with some of the best in the industry and left a lasting impression that garnered him a cult following. Where to watch The Godfather and Joe Spinell's best movies? You can see Joe Spinell, albeit briefly, in The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2, streaming on Paramount+. Other iconic movies where you can try to spot Joe Spinell include Taxi Driver, available to stream on Prime Video and the Criterion Channel, and Rocky, which you can stream on Prime or AMC+. If you want to see the quintessential Joe Spinell performance, check out Maniac, 1980, on Shudder or Tubi. Just be warned, the film is on the more extreme and gritty side of horror.